Welcome to Rewrite Reality with Jillian Greyse, the podcast leading the global shift in transformation through frequency, quantum healing, and energetic mastery. I'm your host, Jillian Greyse, architect of energetic alignment, and for 20 years, I've been a pioneer of integrating self-transformation for thousands of souls. Each week, we answer the questions that keep you stuck and deliver high-frequency tools to heal and evolve every layer of your being. Join me to elevate your vibration, rewrite your reality, and activate the life your soul remembers. Hello, and welcome to this episode of Rewrite Reality. I am so excited to handle this topic and to help you understand it from a vibrational level, because the topic of soul purpose has inevitably come up in almost every private session I've had over the past 20 years. This is a huge question, and it really rings on people's mind. What is soul purpose? What is my intention here? How do I find my soul purpose? So I want to take the time out to go through listener questions that also encompass a lot of other questions. So when I choose these questions, they are questions that are not only going to answer this individual's question, but there was also several other questions themed around this that came in. So the responses to every single one of these are going to be ones that many people can benefit from the answer to. And sharing that information, helping all of you step into vibration, that is my goal. Okay, this first question comes from Riley from Blue Earth, Minnesota. And Riley asks, I keep asking myself, what if I never find out my soul purpose? Is not knowing part of the path? Okay, so first, I want to debunk some of this soul purpose talk that we have. Soul purpose is different from what you expect it to be. We're taught that purpose is aligned with what we're doing on a daily basis, with the end result actions of what we're doing. And that actually isn't the vibration of soul purpose. It's not so much what you're doing, it's the energy you're bringing to whatever it is that's in front of you. So it isn't based on if you've got this amazing job and you're changing lives every day, or you're working on this grand invention, or you're trying to save the planet. That vibration doesn't matter as much, and it's not as important as the vibration or emotion that you're bringing to any given activity or any given moment in your day. Let me break that down a little bit better. So whether or not you are a cashier at a discount store or you're a doctor, your soul purpose is the same thing. And that's to come at what you're doing with heart. Every single one of us, regardless of the free will titles we choose. So when I say that, I mean your free will chooses whatever aspect you want to bring alive in your current display of frequency. So in the current things going on in your life, you might choose to activate the part of you that's a lawyer. You might choose to activate the parts of you that's a teacher. You might choose to activate the part of you that's a wonderful gardener. You might choose to activate the part of you that's a perfect parent or a perfect partner. Whatever part you activate, that is your purpose. Your purpose is putting your energy into a direction. But then when you put the energy into the direction, you have to do it with heart. And that's where we come up short. And that's why so many people go through so many different quote unquote professions or search for things for their entire life, because they're searching for external meaning. When the internal frequency, the internal vibration was what you were designed to bring to your external environment. So the reason why we don't really know what our soul purpose is because we have the idea of what a soul purpose should be all incorrect. Your purpose and everyone's purpose on this planet is to grow, to heal, and to create. And whatever it is that you choose to channel that direction into, that is not the important piece. We have it backwards. We think that what we're channeling it into is where all the substance lies. But that's not the case. The substance lies in the frequency you bring to anything you're doing every day. So live your life in purpose. That should be the focus. The focus should be, how do I bring the purposeful energy within me to every activity and every encounter that I am able to engage in? then you're going to be living your purpose. And I doubt you're going to be asking yourself what your soul purpose is, because that part of you that feels empty will then be fulfilled because you'll be bringing the frequency to life that you're searching for. Okay, this next question comes from Natalie from Grove Hill, Alabama. And Natalie asks, I've done all the things right: school, job, family, and yet I still feel unfulfilled. How do we know when it's time to rewrite the story we've been handed? Okay, so first of all, that feeling that you have right now, that unfulfilled feeling, has nothing to do with your current story that you've written. So don't look at the family that you have, the job that you have, the education that you've experienced, and blame those things for why you aren't where you want to be. Because those things and the reflection of the energy in your outer world is just a reflection of your inner world. They are a perfect representation of what's inside of you. You're not going to create anything different from that unless you first change. And then as you change, you're going to realize that it wasn't about creating something different outside. It was about thinking of things from a different way and bringing a different energy to what you were experiencing and the things that you were doing. So I want you to pay more of a focus on that. I want you to focus more on, okay, how do I show up at work with heart? How do I look at my past with love? How do I raise my family to give them the life that I've always wanted, and to plant seeds on this planet of what I want the world to look like someday? Those are the questions you have to be asking yourself, because if you're not feeling fulfilled by what you have around you, it's because you're not doing or acting with that fulfilled frequency. You aren't focusing on fulfillment in anything you are doing. And this is perfectly natural because we tend to focus on lack. We have a society, we have a narrative that is so lack based right now that a lot of people struggle to look at anything. Even people who have everything that they ever wanted still step back and feel like there's something that they're not fulfilled by. There's something that's missing. And that's because they didn't start with the foundation. And the foundation was a feeling. And I don't mean to sound like a broken record. I want all of you to take a breath and bear with me on this one. The importance of the emotion that you are acting upon or acting with is the most important aspect of what defines you. It isn't the action. It isn't the job title. It isn't even being a parent. Because you can be a parent and, for all intents and purposes, not do anything positive to create a world where a child can flourish. And if you don't create that, then have you really succeeded? Have you really done what you set out to do? So it doesn't matter what it is you're creating. It is the heart you put into it. You could be anything and do it 100% and do it from the heart and do it filled with love and say positive things in your mind about it, and look at, no matter what your job title is, how it's changing people's life. Even if you just work for a big corporation, you know, a lot of people think, I just work for this company and I don't matter. Well, by building that company, you're opening the opportunity for people to have more jobs and to have more jobs available. So people who once thought that lack was the only thing that they were capable of achieving, that fill those positions, all of a sudden a new idea is born for them. So even the slightest thing has a huge ripple effect. And it's important to pay attention to that. It is not about what you're doing. It's about how you're doing it. So before you step back and change anything about your life, Natalie, I want you to first focus on changing that internal gauge. Start looking at the places you've been, the school that you were educated at, the children that you have, the family that you've built, and start asking yourself, am I showing up with heart? Am I doing this from the fullness of my soul? And if you can answer yes, then you're not going to be able to ask the question, why do I feel unfulfilled? Or how come I have this feeling like I'm not in the path that I need to be on? You're not going to ask those questions if you're doing those things right. And how you do those things right, a lot of focusing in on that heart energy has to do with bringing that attention to your chest and focusing on your heart in and of itself. and allowing that part of you to actually have a say. Because when I talk about the heart, it's feeling, and we feel that in our chest. So when you focus all of your attention into the center of your chest and you ask questions, whether or not they're questions based on, okay, what should I do here at work? Or what's the best way to approach this? You will be able to feel your way through the answer. And as you feel your way through, you're going to know what the best thing and what is the most highest frequency thing that you can choose when you're making those choices and when you're taking those next steps. So, step one is really coming into that place where you can bring alive that feeling again. And by just placing your attention in the location where feeling comes from, that's a great way to take those first steps. So before you make any major changes, Natalie, I want you to really look at that internal gauge and start to take the steps towards having the right frequency in the things that you're doing. Okay, this next question is from Ethan from Denver, Colorado. And Ethan writes, I feel like I'm waiting for some big sign, but what if soul purpose isn't loud? Is it something quiet? Am I looking for something that's not there? Okay, so you don't look for your sole purpose. Again, this has been something that has occurred so often in the work that I do. So I'm so well aware of this mindset, and this mindset is going to set you up for failure. You're not waiting for your sole purpose to find you. You aren't hoping for this big sign. You aren't trying to change the world with every decision you make. The sole purpose frequency, again, is around healing, it's around growing, it's around creating. Those are the things that you're doing. So when you're looking for your purpose, the best thing that you can do is to start to align with what it feels like to be purposeful. So that's why a lot of what I've talked about has to do with that feeling that you're bringing up within you. Because first you've got to align with that energy if you want a more purposeful life or more purposeful things to be brought towards you. And then, as soon as you're aligned with that energy and as soon as you're feeling purpose in your everyday life, you're going to find that things naturally evolve. I have so many different testimonials that I can give for hours based on this topic of people who had jobs that they really didn't love. You know, one in specific, I worked with a younger girl for a long time, and she worked for a collections agency while she was working her way through college. And it was such a difficult job, such a low energy job. And all day long, she would get yelled at. All day long, she would get hung up on. It was so uncomfortable for her. And she came to me and she was like, this job is ruining my life, but I needed to pay the bills. I coached her through starting to look at her job as an opportunity to help the person on the other end of the line when she made the phone call. Because every encounter we make, every person that we meet, every person that we have in our life in any way, shape, or form, that's not by accident. So if she's placing a phone call to this particular person, it's because there's something she can do that can help them, that can change them, or that can allow them to open up their frequency in a positive way. So I coached her to begin looking at those encounters as opportunities to assist the person on the phone, opportunities to help somebody expand. And within a week, her entire demeanor changed. Everything about work became this exciting adventure. She would approach every phone call by asking, what can I do for you? How can I help you? I know this must be a challenge. I imagine this is not where you want to be. How do we work together to move out of this? Within a month, she was being offered management positions where she was. Within 6 months, she was being offered a management program that was with a banking company that was going to, in her early 20s, give her people that she would be overseeing, which is not at all something that she ever channeled in her life that she wanted. But that opportunity got her out of where she was at. It got her away from collections. And then she was overseeing a team of people that were working on different projects for this bank. So as she evolved, the opportunities that came to her started to evolve as well. And that's why you don't want to wait for some big sign for your soul purpose. A lot of this generation has to do with just waiting around and waiting for it to show up. That's not going to happen. You have to have both the frequency of the alignment of the vibration available within you emotionally, but you also have to have inspired action. So when you are inspired to take steps into certain directions, you just know, okay, I just feel like this is the right thing. I'm going to try out this path. And then more things will unfold. And that's precisely what she did. So there is a lot of different opportunities available in any given moment. The key is, how are you going to show up for the opportunities you have today? Because that is going to change the opportunities you receive tomorrow. And again, it's all vibration. It's 100% all vibration. It can be challenging, but I'm telling you, all of you, once you grasp that and you start making those subtle changes and you see that difference in the outer world, it's magical. Life is truly magic. This next question is from Caleb from Spencer, Indiana. And Caleb asks, everyone talks about passion leading to purpose, but what if my passion has faded? How do I reconnect? Okay, so I talk about this in the specific section of my book, Vibrational Architect's Handbook. There is a whole chapter on soul purpose, and there are different activities and different things that you can journal and that you can kind of channel questions to yourself to decode that passion or that excitement or that part of you that draws you in so you feel like you want more, you want to grow it. And learning that passion is really important because it's not just what you're good at, it's also what you're really, really a genius of. And for some of us, we have had experiences in our life that we consider negative, but we walked away from those experiences with qualities that kind of set us apart from other people. Like we learned to be more independent because we were bullied when we were younger, or because our parents went through a divorce and we had to work on how to be okay taking care of ourselves because the adults were not adulting at the time. Also, there's elements in each one of us that are things that we're just naturally good at. They may be things that we don't want to be good at. We may be really good public speakers or really good listeners or really good at music or really good at art. And it might not be something that you love, but it's something that for some reason you were just born with this ability to innately do it well. That's another thing you want to look for. So when you're looking at that passion and bringing it back to life, you want to pay attention to the qualities that you learned from things in your world that maybe were considered negative experiences. The Before we continue, let's take a breath. You're here for a reason, not by accident, not by coincidence, but through divine orchestration, and these words were meant for you. This is your moment to rewrite humanity. Think of one soul in your life who needs this transmission and send them this podcast episode now. There are so many out there who are silently struggling. Our role is to reach them, to ignite something ancient and true. Whether it's someone you love, someone lost in the noise, or someone ready to remember who they are, this is your chance. Because vibrational awareness doesn't just shift minds, it realigns lifelines. It reawakens paths. It reconnects souls to their original blueprint. Be the bearer of that light. It isn't just generous, it's sacred work. Share this, speak it, seed it. This is more than a podcast. It's a movement, and you're a vital part of it. Let's rewrite humanity together, one frequency, one soul, one remembrance at a time. Now we continue. Strength you took out of those, the things you had to develop, you were forced to understand deeper. And then you also want to look at the element of just what you do naturally, just whether you like it or not. You've got a good eye for it. And then you want to marry that with things that you would do all day if there was no one around and you had no obligations. So when you're trying to awaken that passion piece, asking yourself just that question, like if there were no obligations, if there were no bills, if there was nothing I had to do, what would I choose to do? That's going to give you a very strong indicator to what that natural frequency wants to lend its creation towards. And by doing that, by taking that piece that was passion for you and by incorporating it into your daily life, not leaving your daily life to only do that. Like that's another thing. We have such an escapist culture. If you find that you love writing, that doesn't mean quit your day job and just try to become a writer. And then as things potentially are a bit of a struggle because by quitting your day job, you put too much pressure on that part of you to grow, you end up inevitably crashing. That's not how building passion looks. Building passion means you can do it congruently to that part of you that helps to keep life stable. And that's where you almost want to know what your most important values are. Because if you highly value stability, and that's something that makes you feel safe and makes you feel at home and makes you feel successful, if you leave your 9 to 5 job and you decide that you're going to go be a singer, then you're leaving one of your core values, which means that it's going to eventually, very likely, end up not going in the direction you want to because the wrong vibration will be there from the start. So you really want to bring those things together all at once in a way that helps support them as they grow and helps support them as they expand. And I talk about this much deeper in the section of my book for the soul purpose. And it really helps you to kind of have those activities that you can do on a daily basis to help build it. So I'm going to put a link to Vibrational Architects handbook in the bottom of this podcast for anybody to check out who's interested, because that helps to kind of take what Caleb's talking about and show you what steps to use in order to get there. But reconnecting with your passion, if it's faded, is as simple as being able to figure out exactly what that passion was to some degree and then incorporate it into your daily life. So whether that is while you're doing your 9 to 5, you decide you're going to take a class in drawing in the evenings every few days and starts to bring that passion back to life. Let's say that you find out that it's something like dancing and you decide you're going to once a week take a dancing class and stay in your current job, not quit your job and quit your whole life and decide you're going to be a dance instructor, but do it alongside. You're going to be awakening that passion frequency from within. And by doing so, you're going to find that more and more passion and more activities and things that you're passionate about become available to you in your inner circuit because you're aligning with that frequency. Okay, this last question comes from Jamie from Troy, Montana. And Jamie writes, I've always had a pull towards creative expression, but was told that wasn't practical. Can soul purpose revive dreams we buried when we were young? So this question is kind of an internal trigger for me because I believe so strongly that what we teach children, especially if they're in public school districts, is so against what our innate capabilities are. And they leave us in situations where we're highly controllable. And also, we don't ask questions. We don't keep that part of ourselves awakened enough to expand to what we want to create. And I say a lot, and a lot of the parents that I coach, I really work with them about how to keep your child's energy open, how to keep your child expanding, and how to prepare them for the world tomorrow. Because so much of that analytical focus that we have is now going to be taken over from AI. If you think about it, your analytical jobs, so jobs were learning knowledge and memorizing that knowledge, and then reiterating and sharing that knowledge, those jobs are at high risk right now because nobody could know more than the entire internet. Doesn't matter how much you study. It doesn't matter how many books you think you memorized. You cannot have all the information at your fingertips at any given moment and be able to compartmentalize it as well as a artificial system. And that's just our reality. So our kids are growing up in that reality. So we previously pushed them to be coders, to be doctors, to be lawyers, to be accountants. And all of those jobs are going to be increasingly less important and increasingly less valuable over the next generations to come. But what AI can't do is create something from nothing. It can take your creation and it can help it to expand, but it cannot create an idea that does not exist on this planet. It is not a master creator. That's what we are. That's what we're meant to be. So when we tell children as they're growing up that creative expression is negative, and we call the imagination. We do that purposely. So we give it this idea or this vibe that it's something that's insignificant, when really your imagination is where you create from. If you can think it, then you can pull it into form. Every single person who has ever done anything to invent on this planet, they have visualized it first. So you have to have that frequency that you pull from the ether and you read it and bring it into form. So we've taken the most important aspects of ourselves and we've dumbed them down. And I think there's so many parents that are kind of privy to that now and choose different methods of educating their children. And I have to give them props because none of them are easy. And they always take that extra step and that extra sacrifice as a parent. But this goes back to what I originally talked about. When you are working with what your passion is, or you're working with what your soul purpose is, it's not so much what you're doing, it's how you're doing it. So when you can look at something and you can say, I did everything right, and I did everything I could to leave this world a better place than how I found it, or to take this situation and make it better for the next person, that is where soul purpose lies. That is where that fulfillment is felt. So if you find that you close down that creation, first I want to tell you it's not your fault. It's the programming that was out there for a very long time that we're now seeing and we're pushing against. So that program is falling. And reawakening creation within you, creation is a huge frequency that's located lower down in your stomach. So it's like that gut feeling or that like feeling in your lower abdomen, like butterflies. And when you start to do different activities, that can help to expand that. So it's classically called your second energy center, your second chakra. That is where creation sits. So there's a lot of different things you can do to allow that to expand better. There's different yoga positions, there's different meditations, there's different breathing techniques. I talk a lot about those in my class. I do monthly classes that have to do with the energy of the earth and expanding and opening up those frequencies. And in those classes, I cover everything that you could imagine when it comes to helping that center or the centers of our body really stay open and allow them to flourish. And just doing a simple Google search for things that help to open up your creation center. I mean, there's mantras you can utilize. There's mudras you can utilize. Again, there's positions that you can place your body in. There's different exercises. There's different breathing techniques. All sorts of things will help you to become more connected with that creation energy within. And then from there, as that awakens, it's your choice to take the inspired action. So you'll notice when you start working on that creation, all of a sudden you start to get these creative ideas. And if they do come to you, you can't let that analytical side talk you out of trying them. You have to step into them because every single time you step into a creation, you're also feeding that area and allowing it to expand. And that's the ultimate goal of us on this planet, is to be creators. If we create something, it is such a gift to the entire earth and the entire planet, whether that's music, whether that's journaling, whether that's art, whether that's singing, whether that's dancing, whether that's teaching, whether that's writing, whatever it is, it wouldn't have existed without us being there in the first place. It is the ultimate gift. And everyone in the collective gets the opportunity to benefit from that creation. And you ignite a frequency of creation across the whole planet. So you're shifting more than just yourself. So I want to encourage you to first feed that center as much as you can, let things awaken within you, and then take that inspired action. Because Jamie, that piece of you is the piece that encompasses the reason that we're alive. And for many of us, it's shut down. And it's beginning to awaken more and more. And understanding the process of what's happening is key in helping it evolve. And that is our episode on soul purpose. I want to thank all of you so much for sharing this podcast, for helping it to grow so much. In its first month alone, it has surpassed any expectation I possibly imagined. I encourage all of you to join the Rewrite Humanity Challenge and send this podcast to one person you know could benefit. Whether it's someone coming out of college, someone going into college, or someone who's at that point in their life where they just need change. The smallest amount of information can help someone to change their vibration, to shift out of what they once thought was right and understand what their soul is calling them to do. Thank you all so much. My name is Jillian Greyse, and I'll chat with you again soon. You've just tuned into Rewrite Reality with Jillian Greyse, architect of energetic alignment and pioneer of integrated self-transformation. If this episode shifted your frequency, share it with someone you care about, because one share can spark healing, alignment, and a ripple effect of transformation in someone's life. Submit your questions today at jilliangrace.com/ask and explore transformational tools, masterclasses, and frequency-based healing at jilliangreyse.com. Join me every week to elevate your vibration, rewrite your reality, and activate the life your soul remembers.